Hello everyone, and welcome back. The chances of getting hit by lightning in any given year are about 1 in a million. But those chances increase when you are actively outside during a storm. But the chance of a single lightning strike affecting more than 100 people at the same time is practically unheard of. On August 22, 2019, hundreds of people had hiked toward the summit of Mount Giewont. People were gathered around the summit, taking pictures and enjoying the view of the beautiful Tatra mountains. Then a powerful lightning strike hit the summit, sending electrical current through the wet ground and surrounding area, affecting more than 100 people. 4 people would lose their lives, while many others were injured. It would become one of the largest and most unusual mass casualty lightning incident ever recorded. This is the story of the Tatra Mountains lightning incident. This story takes us all the way to Poland's Tatra Mountains. They are located in the western part of the Carpathian mountain range and stretch along the border between Poland and Slovakia. Even though the Tatras are not a huge mountain range, they have steep rocky peaks, deep valleys, lakes, and weather that can change very quickly. The highest peak in the entire Tatra range is Gerlachowski Peak, rising more than 2,600 meters or about 8,700 feet on the Slovakian side. On the Polish side, one of the most recognizable mountains is Mount Giewont. It rises to 1,895 meters or just over 6,200 feet and sits directly above the town of Zakopane. From the town, the shape of the mountain is easy to recognize. According to an old Polish legend, its outline looks like a giant sleeping knight lying on his back. Because of its location and appearance, Giewont eventually became one of the symbols of Zakopane and the Polish Tatras. The first recorded climb to the summit happened in 1830, when Franciszek Herbik and Alexander Zawadzki made their way up the mountain. Back then, reaching the summit was nowhere near as common as it is today. Then, in 1901, a huge steel cross was built on top of Great Giewont. The cross stands about 15 meters or 49 feet tall. Its pieces were transported from Krakow by train, taken closer to the mountain by horse, and then carried up to the summit by volunteers from Zakopane. Over the years, the cross became a religious symbol, a pilgrimage site, and one of the most recognizable landmarks in the Tatras. It also gave hikers another reason to climb Giewont. For many people, reaching the summit and taking a picture beside the cross became part of visiting the mountain. Hiking to Mount Giewont in August is still in peak season, and thousands of hikers go on trail near the town of Zakopane. The hike takes about 6 hours at a distance of 13 kilometers or 8 miles, with an elevation of about 1,000 meters or 3,000 feet. Though the hike is considered hard, hundreds of hikers make the journey to the summit to get a chance to take a picture with a large steel cross and get rewarded with amazing views of the Tatras mountain range. During busy summer days, the final section can become crowded because hikers have to use the same narrow and steep route near the top. On August 22nd, hundreds of hikers crowded the trail towards the mountain. Just before the summit, a huge crowd waited for their turn to make the last climb. No one suspected anything wrong was going to happen. Early morning that day showed clear skies. As hundreds began to make the final climb and gather around the summit, a storm was starting to form across the Tatra Mountains. By noon, the weather started getting worse very quickly. People started to notice dark clouds heading in their direction. They heard distant thunder and quickly followed by light rain. At this point, people started to climb down. But a lot of people still remained at the summit and more were still climbing up. The trail near the top was narrow and crowded, so getting everyone off the mountain quickly was not easy. Then, shortly after 1 p.m., lightning directly struck the steel cross. Electrical current traveled through the structure and across the wet, rocky ground. The current also traveled toward the safety chains installed to help people climb the last steep section of the mountain. Many people were holding these chains were also shocked, causing some of them to fall on the steep slope. People fell to the ground, suffering burns, and some were temporarily knocked unconscious. The lightning also created a powerful shock wave that knocked people down. One survivor described having his shoes blown off during the strike, while another explained his foot felt like it was on fire. Another later revealed that he didn't even realize what had happened at first because he lost consciousness almost immediately. Some hikers suffered electrical burns. Others were knocked unconscious when the current passed through the area. Lightning can interfere with electrical signals controlling the heart, and in the most serious cases can cause cardiac arrest. Others suffered problems with their nervous system. Some became confused or dizzy, while a few temporarily lost feeling or movement in parts of their body. The blast from the lightning could also damage someone's hearing or knock them off balance. And on Giewont, losing your balance was already dangerous because people were standing on the steep and rocky terrain. There were also reports of vision problems, muscle pain, headaches, and injuries from people falling onto the rocks. The important thing is that the lightning didn't have to hit every person directly. Electricity could spread through the wet ground, travel through nearby metal, or jump from one object to another through what is known as a side flash. And this is how one lightning strike was able to affect so many people at once. Later medical research identified 131 hikers who were exposed during the Giewont incident. Official reports from the wider rescue operation said 157 people were injured, with around 40 suffering serious injuries. 4 people sadly lost their lives on the summit. There were a 10-year-old boy, a 10-year-old girl, a 24-year-old woman, and a 46-year-old woman. The storm was still active while rescuers were making their way toward the injured hikers. 2 more lightning struck around Giewont during the rescue operation, so crews were still working while the weather around them remained dangerous. Researchers would later estimate that the strongest lightning discharge at the summit was around 153,000 amps or 153 kiloamps. In comparison, a typical lightning strike is often estimated at around 30,000 amps. So the lightning that hit Giewont was roughly 5 times stronger than average. Much of the electrical energy is believed to have spread from the summit area through the metal cross, wet ground, and nearby metal chains. This meant people who weren't hit by the main bolt itself could still receive a powerful electrical shock. The same storm also caused another death on the Slovakian side of the Tatra mountains. A Czech hiker was near the summit of Baníkov Peak when lightning struck. The force of the strike knocked him from the mountain, causing him to fall several hundred feet. His companion was also injured, but survived. This brought the death toll from the storm across the Polish and Slovak Tatras to 5. Giewont has always had a dangerous relationship with thunderstorms. The mountain is already one of the highest exposed points in the area, so lightning hitting somewhere around the summit was nothing unusual. But sitting on top of the summit is something that can make the situation even more dangerous. The mountain would still be struck by lightning even if the cross was not there. But once lightning is already around the summit, the tall metal cross can become a likely place for the electrical discharge to reach the ground. So in that situation, it can basically act like a giant lightning rod. Researchers have actually measured lightning activity around the mountain. Between January 2008 and June 2009, lightning detection systems recorded 23 electrical discharges around Giewont summit area. Out of those 23, they estimated that no more than around 10 actually reached the summit dome. It was also believed that several of them may have hit the metal cross. Lightning accidents on Giewont had also happened long before the disaster. On August 15, 1937, a powerful thunderstorm moved over the mountain while a group of people were near the summit. Lightning struck the cross and 3 people were killed immediately. Another person was badly injured and later died from his injuries. Several others around the summit were also affected by the strike. More lightning incidents would happen around Giewont over the following decades. Even as recently as 2018, hikers were directly or indirectly injured by lightning around the mountain. So lightning hitting Giewont itself was nothing unusual. What made August 22nd so different was how many people happened to be there when it happened. The summit and the narrow trail below it were still packed with hikers when the storm arrived. One powerful discharge was able to affect people across a large part of the summit area. It was basically the worst possible time for lightning to hit Giewont. After the disaster, there were questions about whether the large metal cross made Giewont more dangerous during thunderstorms. Some people even questioned whether the cross or the metal chains should be removed. But removing the cross would not stop lightning from hitting Giewont. The mountain itself would still be exposed during a thunderstorm. Some of the metal chains had been damaged by the lightning, and sections of the trail needed repairs before hikers were allowed back. The disaster also put more attention on checking the weather before hiking the Tatras. It was later found that thunderstorm information had been available before the incident, but hundreds of people were already out on the mountain trails that day. What happened on Giewont was far from the deadliest sliding disaster ever recorded, but having more than 100 people affected around the same mountain summit made the incident extremely unusual. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you. If you want to watch more stories you've probably never heard before, you can click on the videos here. If you're new to the channel, I mostly cover stories that other YouTube channels had never covered. If that's what you want, then you came to the right place. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.